Alrighty. Big talk today. Big spoken by Millennial moment is something thanks to the roommates on YouTube, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels, um, who he wrote the book The Rational Male. His last name is Tomasi. I just forgot his first name, but Tate men like Tate Andrews put real deal wisdom and perspective into the manosphere, into making men realize what they actually are. And this talk will be about trying to put yourself in a position where you're marriage minded and marriage material for a woman. Um, because a lot of people put it off that it's okay to die alone. It's horrible. It's not good. It can't be. Don't think so. Go to a nursing home and talk to some people. That's one thing that my generation is completely missing. Is the talks from people over 80 years old. Because right now a lot of it's such a it's the reason I don't have no friends right now in my life. Um, a lot of people look for validation from people their age. Like it's like they get validation of thinking they got money because under 30-year-old people tell them they have money and they got their shit together. They think they actually made good business moves because some under 30-year-old told them it was a good business move. Some people think they made good money moves because the 30-year-old told them. They think they're making good relationship decisions based on someone under 35 years old telling them what to do and getting validation from that person. And it really goes to this conversation also stems from me having a conversation with other men. And this year, I'm pretty sure I said in another video, but I had two men come to me talking about how me having literally double the years of experience plus more than them in a field of work, and I asked them, would go ask your woman, would I have more job security or would you? And they both just said it's subjective BS variable stuff. They both of them literally just said someone just come in and just do a better job than you. No, no one just goes next to someone's wisdom and just randomly does way better than them. No one that's naturally gifted at football is beating someone that's been playing football for over 12 years in the real deal scenarios. So that was just one thing, and we're gonna cut straight to the chase. You got to be in a position where, well, for one, you got to be in a position where if you had a daughter, how would you look at the man in front of you? And it's hard for me to say that and a man to actually make sense of that because, like I said, there's men in the world that would think like, oh, because a man has more work history doesn't mean that they have more job security. And it's dynamics like that that are just destroying the way of the dating scene. Because then you have men that are very vague, very subjective to the truth, and use extremes. So a lot like how women do arguments and see life, and that's based upon a lot of these men are raised by women. That's why there's a thing where now people realize men get better with age, women don't. A man at 40, most productive, competitive, successful men at 45 years old will tell you the days between being 40 to 50 are way better than the days of being 20 to 35. Because you're more well established as a man. Like, for instance, most men aren't known until they're over 40 years old. That's why they tell most people that marriage-minded man is until he's about 35 years old. Because he hasn't ran all of his energy out, so to say. All that testosterone. So that's why they say most men aren't useful to women until after 40 years old because they have too much energy. something I liked with off of Fresh and Fit. He said your body count should be at least 50 women because then you'd have good real good know how of social dynamics between dealing with a woman. So, for instance, like me at 26, I have 13 years of experience in the culinary field, and it's not some big. It's not engineer. I'm not in the STEM fields, science, technology, engineer, and math. But for me, it gives job security. If we're not looking for if this person that's into me is looking for some $100,000 earner, I have security. I have money coming in. And the one thing is a street dude told me, he said a working man always got money on the way. That's what's good about him. Like me, if I quit my job today, I have a paycheck in the hole. I just have to wait. Boom, check will be there. If I was a hustler, I'd break my goddamn phone today and I just leave it on, leave it off, and don't fix it. My money stops coming in. And for me, I'd be looking at my if I was to be looking to my husband, to my daughter's wife. I mean, daughter's husband. This is how I want to look at myself. Is have you established any money? Have you gotten any money in this past 5 years? How much money have you touched? Okay, do you outside your family are you looking for a community to be a part of? Church, YMCA, gym, anything. Are you I'm trying to figure out, are you an incel? And are you going to just be working, go home, and want my damn daughter to be stuck in the damn house with you for your all eternity? And I would ask dynamics of what happened between any past best friends. How did falling out with former friends happen? Um, what was wrong with your last relationship that made it end? What's your longest relationship you've had? Um, are your parents married? Are your grandparents married? Um, I would ask, do you believe a man should take care of the household financially? Because here's one thing to help with this whole marriage-minded thing. This is something that helped me. The 50-50 thing doesn't work. It doesn't. You as men, you have to find out how to get a hold of the whole household financial security. All the finances of the house. You have to be able to find out all the finances of the house. And this is something that's hard for a lot of men because their women make more money than them. A lot of women make more money than a lot of men. And we're not putting that in as exaggerate. We're not going to exaggerate. And women are bosses out here because most women are only responsible for 16% of employment in the United States. So they're not bosses. They're not paying people. They make a big check. Got off track right there. So with the 50, I don't do the 50-50 thing. For me, I took control of all finances of my house, and I told her this is how much money I need you to give me each paycheck. I made sure she keep her tips to herself, or she keep her little couple $100 per paycheck for herself, and I show her the balance sheet of bills are gonna be paid for the next 3 to 4 months. Because you got to put in perspective, you're not doing no 50-50 crap. You got to stay off of that. If y'all get paid, like me and her get paid bi-weekly, but she gets paid every other week, I don't get paid. So that works out. And sometimes it works out because we can make it as this week's paycheck will pay this week's bills. And this week's paycheck will pay this week's bills. And guess what? You might end up with a check where, guess what? There's no bills due this week. So you can either save it, put it away, use it to help with some of the other bills for the next week, or you have extra money finally. Because there's a lot of times you're gonna go through the way I just said it. You'd realize there's tons of times when a paycheck didn't even have to be used through a whole for the month. And most people don't even really. Most people don't really have a lot of bills. A lot of people have a lot of debt. Like I put together both our bills together. Don't even add up to both our bills together. Don't even add up to freaking $2,000, and we're both making over that. But you have to be putting yourself in a position as a man to be able to think very far and have good foresight for her to let the future depend on you. Like me, I wrote a 4-month plan of all our bills out. We're gonna put out 4 months, but then after this way, if it works out really good, I'm gonna be just making a 6-month plan with our money. And women are biologically want to find a superior man to them. That's why women date up. They only want a man that makes as much as them, with the capacity and potential to make more, or they already make more. Because it wouldn't make no sense to bring a man into the house and you're making $40,000 a year, and they're not making $40,000 a year. There's no point of bringing someone else into the house and double the resources have to be used and double the income isn't there. And then for the women, for women that are marriage minded and family oriented, they have to see that you will take the sacrifices, that you will do what you need to do to make what needs to make the provisions and the security of the home happen. Like there's men right now in the streets that are selling drugs that would laugh at you if you said that they could go be a dishwasher. But I know plenty of dishwashers that are now managers in the business. They just waited. There's a lot of things that's happened in the world is that men have a financial clock and they force it. That's a real big thing. They force it, and then some years down the line, that's why a lot of women in a position where they're like, "Oh, it wasn't like this. Like he wasn't like this. Da 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 da. Things weren't like this, and the kid came. Things just went hell because he was doing things in an irresponsible way of life. And when you put responsibility on him, it threw things out of whack. Like one of the biggest things is women getting with some dude that's a drug dealer before they're the age of 25, and they try to say, "Oh, I was young and dumb." No, you didn't realize. You realize what you're doing was a stupid idea. You just think that you're some magical unicorn pony that doesn't deal with the consequences everyone else has dealt with. Of ending up with one or two kids, and the drug dealer tries to give up his drug dealing ways because he'd have been in jail or something, or just give him a general. And guess what? This man can't manage money. He can't really make a lot of money, and you have your expectation for him to be having $2,000 a week for you, when most men don't get paid that whatsoever in any capacity. The average man makes The average black man makes $4,300, $500. You say that to a woman nowadays, say, "Would you accept a man to take that for beginning and end of life?" They say no, because they don't see value in that. Because the man, it's all about his money. But if you're not in a position where you're going to be making 60, 70, 80, $100,000 a year, you got to put yourself in a position where the interdependent dynamic is adding up more than just the money. They say you got to come in someone's life to make their life easier so they can make your life more comfortable, or vice versa, however you're to do it. I would say always trying to make sure that there's a plan of action for your children's future. As a man, making sure that there's always a plan of action for your woman's future. Like for instance, me, I would tell a woman like when we first started dating, like my plan is I'm gonna be retiring my woman before me. Ain't no gonna crap where I'm gonna be out in the world, in RV, traveling the damn world, and this woman got to go to work. Um, you have to have that dynamic in your head that being a father is something that you want to do. Like a lot of people a lot of women end up with a man that they're like, oh, it wasn't like this in the beginning. Yeah, in the beginning y'all didn't have a kid. If in the beginning you didn't have a kid, and you were most of the time he don't even deal with his younger siblings. He don't care to see no younger relatives. And in 2 year time, a year time you being with him, he's never been around no fucking little kids around you. That should be a red flag. And don't realize a lot of men are raised by single women, and they don't know how to be no fucking father. They don't know how to be no provider. Why do you think a lot of men have their midlife crisis at 35, 33 years old? 10 years before they're literally even in their economic stride. Men aren't getting their economic stride until 45 to 55, because guess what? That means the kids are out of the house and they're finally able to see all their money. And a lot of men are raised by single women, and most women's midlife crisis is not even a midlife crisis. It's an end of the biological clock timer, alarm clock going off in their head. Because women can't have children over 35 years old. They can, but it's called geriatric pregnancy, which is something very dangerous. And no one wants to make their first rodeo ride the dangerous one. No one wants to make the first time to ride a roller coaster a wooden roller coaster. No one's doing that. And hold on a second. You get that back to organizing, Angel. You eat or you're going in the corner. I just see the thing is, I just say because I have relatives in certain situations where they're in 10-year plus relationships and with multiple children, but no marriage. And their excuses will be on some overweighting and just BS. And at the end of the day, let's say both the men on the predicament, their women make more money than them. Yes, there's a dynamic in the world where if you get, it doesn't matter about some 50-50-ness. Every people will be like, I want to do 50-50. We'll just split the bills 50-50. They just make it so, it makes it so if I make more money than you, I don't have to put more into it than you. Because that doesn't work past marriage. Because if I make 80,000 and she makes 40,000, every dollar she spends, 50% of that dollar is mine. Do y'all not get that? No, it's not even. No, if I make 80, she makes 20. It's literally every dollar she spends is 80 cents of the dollar is mine. And every dollar I spend is 20 cents of the dollar is hers. So yeah, that's why people don't deal with people that are in debt and get married to them, because every time they're paying off the bill. Every time they send off $300 for their college tuition, guess what? 80% of that money is yours. If you're making 80, she's making $20,000-$30,000 a year. You're sending off your money, and that's the real deal talk of the dynamic of what people don't want to talk about. These women aren't wanting to look at their men and be like, oh, I'm not going to be in a position where every time we make a mortgage payment, that 60 to 80% of the money is my money. Then they're not going to go for that. They're not. Most of these women make more than the man, and it's based off of just her education and her willpower. You're going to have to drag her, tie her up, and bondage her, and take her to the courthouse before she marries you. The best thing you can do is before 25 years old, build up your career however you're wanting it, and aim to try to have two. Like for me, I'm looking into real estate now. Try to have two types of big things under your belt. Like me, when I get into real estate, I'd give up the cooking life. But guess what? Still, when my sales start going low, and there's just too much of a history of the sales aren't going right and the money's not going to add up, I can instantly jump back into a kitchen and say, hey, I got 12, 13 years experience, blah, 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 blah. Or just go back, as per normal, most cooks can do, is go back to any of the places they work for, because the places have seen them work and they're like, oh, he's a good worker, might as well keep him here. We just have to do better, as in, like for me, when it comes to dealing with my little girl. I had three sisters, all young, three little sisters younger than me. So I know the dynamic of an 8-year-old little girl. I've freaking seen it 3 times. Yeah, if you want to be marriage material to a woman, you're gonna have to get your finances right, the history of your finances right, because your history is a tale. Because you can sit around and say all this ambitious shit you can say all you want, but if your history of the past 5 years is normally the history of your next 5 years, just a little bit raises per year. But we're not gonna be sitting in front of us. Both we're not gonna sit in front of each other. You've been making $20,000 to $30,000 a year for 5 years, and you're gonna talk to me about some bonehead scheme of how in the next 2 years you should be making $70,000 to $100,000 a year consistently, just because of anything. People would be like, "Oh, I'm in school, so I should be making this money soon." No, nope. Um. Oh, one thing is it helped me in my relationship with saying, I say this: you should have only 2 deal breakers for a marriage. Because you tell that person, you break one of these, you only have a 50% chance of me being in this goddamn house when you come home with all my stuff in this house. Simple as that. I gave you 2, you broke one. I'm going to completely choose if that the next 50% is worth it. That's all I can do. I'll give you 2 choices. And I always feel that what you're looking for in the marriage and what you bring to the table for the marriage should even out. If you're looking for 10 things in a marriage and you only bring fucking 5, you're a cause for disaster. You're a liability to a marriage and a brand. Because I'm not gonna be married to you for 30 years and then you get some harebrained scheme of, you told me these 3 things that were deal breakers, and then randomly 30 years later you have some random other deal breaker. Because it's not even a deal breaker. It's these 3 things that you're wanting in a marriage that are in the bottom 3 of the 5, and you've condensed them into one, into the main thing. Most women say is, I'm leaving the marriage because I'm not happy. But it's like the man is still doing his part. Oh, he doesn't give you enough time? It is supposed to be a thing for 60 years. You're not getting some time today, this week, and this month? You've been mad? Because people don't realize, if you look for a 50-year relationship with someone, you're going to have, putting all the days consecutively, day after another, of all bad days to happen within the 50 years, you'd probably have 9 to 14 very bad years. If you got all the bad days out of the 50 years all together, you probably have about 10 to 14 really bad years. But most people, like my generation, they don't go past 2 years. They don't go past 2 months of bad things happening in the relationship before they're like, oh, I'm cutting this short. That's why there's a song nowadays called, she's a runner, she's a track star. She gonna run when it get hard. Yeah, that's what they do.